So I want to start by confessing that I have been looking forward to this Child Dedication Day for quite a while. Wasn't it just the sweetest thing? And I love that as a botanist, I got to dedicate 2 children with the names of plants. How amazing is that? Sage and maple. We need a juniper. Could someone have a juniper? So, in some UU congregations, Advent candles are lit on each of the 4 Sundays leading to Christmas. And it turns out that the candle for this Sunday is the candle of joy. And I hope that some of you felt what I did as we were doing the child dedication, joy in the room. Those 2 girls, like all children, are both miracles as they are right now, and also hold in their tiny bodies the potential to become absolutely anything. For all we know, one or both of those 2 little girls will help save this world. I think every parent thinks that a little bit deep down. I know my mother talks about that she thought that way after I was born. How would I help to save the world? And I don't think we should think that such a thought is arrogant or ridiculous. Because after all, every savior, every wise person, every saint was born, was held in his or her mother's arms and rocked to sleep. So who is to say what a child could become? So the title of today's sermon is, "Unto us a child is born." And you may know that phrase from Handel's Messiah, which is sung in communities all over the world at Christmas time. And in fact, I went and saw our local Messiah at the Emma Church just the other night, and it was beautiful. But most people think, because of that I think, that these words refer to Jesus. Since after all, they are sung at Christmas, and Christmas is, at its most basic, the celebration of the birth of a special child. But actually, they were the words of the Jewish prophet Isaiah, and they were sung or said more than 800 years before the birth of Jesus. And Isaiah's time was a very difficult one for the Israelites, and his words are words of hope, of renewal in a dark time. And that's what I think the birth of every child is. It's a renewal, the birth of something and someone never before seen on this earth, with absolutely limitless possibilities. And also, beyond that, every birth is a wild miracle, a big bang, just appearing out of the mystery and a few cells coming together, and a new life, a whole new person appears. And yet, from the very beginning, each person is so completely unique, as if they came out of the womb with some kind of blueprint for who they're going to become. I vividly remember my nephew Devin as a really young baby. And unlike most babies, how tremendously irritated and frustrated he was with the limitations of babyhood. All that not being able to talk, not being able to walk, and he refused, more or less, to say anything until he could speak in full sentences. And now, he's an engineering student at the University of Pennsylvania, and somehow the 2 seem related, as if even now he is working to overcome the limitations of the human form, studying robotics. So I think being a child and I should probably ask the children that are here if this is true, is to still live a little bit in the mystery, to still carry with us whatever it is we came from, like a mist or a dream. Some people even call early childhood the dream time, or the time of myth. And I think if you've ever looked, and I'm sure everyone here has, into a newborn's eyes, you know what I mean. It's like looking into a vast night sky. And there's something there beyond what we can know. And some of us still do visit that mythic world sometimes, even if we're all supposedly grown up and responsible. Okay, I'm about to make a little admission here. I love reading about dragons and elves and magical rings and people who could talk to animals and witches and wizards, and those books allow me to re-enter that magic, that mythos of early childhood. And two of my sisters and I tell each other about our favorite kids' fantasy books, the way other adults talk about their sophisticated restaurants that they like to go to. And last night, I was driving through Glenwood Springs, and I saw the lights on the Colorado Hotel for the first time. Has everybody seen those? Yeah? Pretty amazing. Blew my mind. I was just looking at that, and suddenly, in my heart, I was 5 years old. I was not more than 5 years old as I looked at the completely over-the-top lights of the Colorado Hotel. So even as we grumble about the stress and the extra work of the holidays, I think many of us feel just a little bit of a thrill when we look at a Christmas tree fully decorated, the menorahs in the windows, when we hear the song of a favorite carol. And I think no matter what our age, no matter how beat up we've been by life, and I know many of us have been beaten up by life in various ways, there's a part of us that's still very young, wide-eyed, and open. It might be buried, it might be denied. You might think it's only going to lead to disappointment, as it has so many times before, but it's there. Who we were is never entirely lost in who we are now. 30 years ago, at the end of my very first week-long silent retreat, meditation retreat, an all-women's retreat, the teachers invited us at the end to line up in 2 lines facing each other. And we had not made eye contact or spoken for a week. So they lined us up, and then they led us in a guided meditation, looking up into the eyes of the woman across from us, a stranger, and imagining her first as a newborn, then as a toddler, her first day of school, her first kiss, leaving home, maybe having children of her own, and one day growing old and dying, returning back into that mystery. And as the meditation went on and I looked across at my partner, I just started to weep, because truly, we are all those things, once so helpless, and again, at the end of our lives, helpless again. I also think there is some innate human protectiveness of children. I know that the parents I know feel this, and I feel it too, even though I have not had children of my own. I think this is why some of us feel such pain and heartbreak, particularly when we see images of children in danger or distress. A few weeks ago, I saw a photo of a beautiful, dark-eyed Syrian girl, about 2 or 3 years old. And she was staring straight into the camera, unsmiling. And she had her hands clasped above her head in a gesture of surrender, which she had already learned at that age. And I think of all the children in the boats braving the winter seas of the Mediterranean on this very day, and all the children from Central America making their way hand in hand across Mexico by themselves, trying to get to the safety of the U.S. border. With all our hearts, we want children to have that dream time, their time of being held within the protective circle of their parents' arms. Even if we didn't have that, even if we know it's not possible for all children to have that. We know in our bones that each child does deserve that time of love, absolute love and safety. I want to share a poem by David White that I love very much. It's called My Daughter Asleep. And it was written as he walked and rocked her in the middle of the night in the moonlight. I offer it especially for the parents of Sage and Maple today. But all parents, all of us everywhere. Carrying a child, I carry a bundle of sleeping future appearances. I carry my daughter adrift on my shoulder, dreaming her slender dreams, and I carry her beneath the window, watching her moonlit palm open and close like a tiny folded map. Each line a path that leads where I cannot go, so that I read her palm not knowing what I read, and walk with her in moonlight on the landing, not knowing with whom I walk, making invisible prayers to go on with her where I can't go, conversing with so many unknowns that must know her more intimately than I do. And so, to these unspoken shadows and this broad night, I make a quiet request to the great parental darkness to hold her when I cannot, to comfort her when I am gone, to help her learn to love the unknown for itself, to take it gladly, like a lantern for the way before her, to help her see where ordinary light will not help her, where happiness has fled, where faith will not reach. My prayer tonight for the great hidden symmetries of life, to reward this faith I have, her twin her passages of loneliness with friendship, her exiles with homecoming, her first awkward steps with promised onward leaps. And so, as I have helped name her, I help to name these powers. I bring to life what is needed. I invoke the help she'll want, following those moonlit lines into a future uncradled by me, but parented by all. I call, as she grows away from me, may these lifelines grow with her. Keep her safe. So, with my open palm, whose lines have run before her, to make a safer way, I hold her smooth cheek and bless her this night into all those other unknown nights to come. So, as we have blessed our own today, let's extend those blessings outward in the Unitarian Universalist tradition. I invite you to close your eyes, if you're comfortable, and send blessings to all the children of this valley, Anglo, Latino, all others, wherever they may be. To the children we love, in our families and in our lives, wherever they may be, near or far from us. To all the children of this country, Muslim and Jewish and Christian and atheist and pagan, rich and poor. To all the children of the world, warm in houses, on boats in the open sea, in refugee camps and waiting at borders, dreaming in their sleep, turning to their mothers, holding a younger sibling, laughing and weeping. Let's send all our love, all our blessing outward to them in a great wave.